It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tauntauns. I am Jim Lahane, and with me, as always, is Nicole Herview.
Hello.
And with us for almost the fourth week in a row. No, third week in a row. You didn't come with us on season 1.
Right. 3 of 4, because you had the interview before season 3.
Right.
And before that was season... Yeah.
Is our favorite Alex Bond.
Yay!
I'm everyone's favorite Alex Bond.
Yeah, there's one Alex Bond and he's him. No, I doubt that's true.
I think there's a website I can probably look it up, like how many there are.
I'm going to Google, see if I can find a different favorite Alex Bond.
Good luck! No one famous has taken the name yet.
There's another me, but she's in France.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's lots of Jim Lahanes.
Really?
If you Google my name, you come up with a horse race handicap betting stuff.
Oh.
And I have no idea. I don't know who this person is, but I do know. Definitely not me, because I do not do horse races or handicap betting or anything like that. So,
I think there's a Alex Bond photographer in England.
No, that makes sense.
he's my favorite.
How dare you? Get him on your show then.
Fine, you could be the favorite today.
Today. Just today.
It's fine for the next hour and a half.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, good.
Tired,
I'm so
hot.
tired. It's warm.
It's mighty warm.
Yeah.
But otherwise good.
Yeah. I was in Baltimore this week for a couple days on Wednesday and Thursday. So traveling those 2 days and then, Friday catching up with work and stuff. And then yesterday I had a bridal shower, which was lovely. And then an hour to myself, in which I changed and got ready for dinner out with my friends. And I was out until 3 a.m. And I'm tired. I woke up about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and I'm not awake yet. That's how this day is going to go.
I watched an entire season of Star Wars Rebels yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
I did no prep work.
I watched most of the show on Friday.
I actually watched most of the show yesterday. My wife and daughter are Girl Scout camping, and so I had the weekend to myself, and I would put on an episode, and then I would do work around the house, and then I'd come back, and I literally bounced back and forth through most of the season yesterday, constantly texting Nicole.
Random stuff. What's the current home project, Jim? How are we doing?
It's still my daughter's room right now. It's just stuff related around the room because I got to mud the room. And I'm trying to avoid starting that because mudding is a nightmare.
What is mudding?
That's where you put the plaster on the drywall.
Got it. Okay. Explain to the heathens.
And me. I have no idea.
What's going on?
So it's literally like you put up like drywall or plaster tape on all the seams, and you cover all the screw holes with plaster, and you do the whole room. But you got to do 3 coats to really get it, and then once you do the 3 coats, then you sand it. And it is not only a mess. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be a lot longer. I think I got pretty good at it when I was doing the large wall, and that's on the outside of her room. So I think I'm fairly competent at it. But right now I've just been I had to fix a floor that was caving in outside her room so I can actually physically attach the door to her room. It's one thing leads to another, and since I was fixing the floor, I fixed all of the floor in that area. And so I got that all cleaned up yesterday, and so the mudding should be able to start either today or tomorrow.
Very nice.
And then I leave for celebration on Wednesday.
Yay!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I keep forgetting that's like here. Like we are
That's happening.
On the cusp of Kenobi.
Yeah, we're right up there, and thank you very much. That's a great segue into the first thing. We got to get into news.
Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
Hello, what have we here?
I want to talk about one little baby thing first. Did you see, I'm sure you did, that Disney Plus released kind of a schedule of things to watch before Kenobi drops?
Yes, I
Okay.
did see that. And I saw somebody pointed out, because it was chunks of episodes of
Yes.
Clone Wars, which I assume is where you're going with this.
Yes. So some of them were like obvious, like, okay, that's what it is. Like the first chunk, there were 3 chunks of Clone Wars episodes. And the first chunk starts with Duchess Satine and Mandalore, and like it all makes sense. And then there's like a couple episodes, I was just watching a TikTok on this and it escaped my brain. There's a couple episodes where it's like, I'm not exactly sure what the connection's gonna be there. There was a character that there might be a kid. I'm gonna scream. Hang on.
So it's the season 2
Yeah.
Duchess Satine
2 of
4
them.
episodes.
2 of them are Duchess Satine,
Yep.
and 2 of them are not.
And then there's a block for the bounty hunter
Yes.
where he's
Yep.
Reiko Hardin.
Okay,
Right?
where
Yes,
he gets his face melted and
Changed.
reformed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
He fakes his death and the whole thing.
right, and
Yes.
that's probably the first, one of the earlier parts where Anakin is like distrusting of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Okay,
definitely
but that's,
important.
that would also tie in with the comment I saw online that somebody would be ecstatic if Cad Bane showed up.
Yes. I
Yes.
don't know about all that, but that's fine.
Well, they did do a makeup test for Cad Bane,
Yeah.
Well,
and
Well,
then they
Cad-
put it and then they put it in a show.
Yes, they did. What episode? Season 2.
Season
what
2,
episodes is
episodes
it?
12 to 16.
12 to 16. That's what I'm looking for. Hang on. So 12 is the Mandalore plot, Voyage of Temptation, Duchess of Mandalore. What'd you say? 16?
Yeah, so they also
Cat
say
and Mouse is okay. The
Senate-
Senate murders. That's the one that was really interesting, which is Bail Organa is involved in that. So people are like, okay, Obi-Wan
yes,
might
I
go
remember
see Bail Organa and Leia at some point. That might be coming up because otherwise,
Senate
why-
Murders doesn't even have Obi-Wan in it, if I
Exactly.
remember
Yes.
correctly.
so
it
that's
does not.
probably important for
so that seems
background.
to be important for Bail and Padme's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. But then my other thing is maybe they just included it because of Cat and Mouse, and that's Obi-Wan and Anakin must combine their tactical expertise and brashness when they meet their toughest challenge yet.
Cat
the cunning
and Mouse is
Admiral
the
Trench.
episode before the movie, the Clone
Right.
Wars movie.
Yes. It deals with Admiral Trench. Some people think he might be. I'm like, I don't know about all that.
Trench is dead.
I think Cat. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, Cat and Mouse might just be to show the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. But in that case, like, there's other episodes to do that with. So I don't know why they picked this block of 5 episodes. Like,
Wasn't
if
it
Senate
also-
murders and Cat and Mouse weren't specifically important, I think they would have just said 12 through 14.
right. Get the Mandalore plot.
To get the Mandalore plot and Satine, which obviously makes sense. What was the other chunk?
Then there's season 4, episodes 15 to 18.
Okay.
Hop on down to Wikipedia.
Season 4, did you
Season
just say?
4, 15 to 18.
15 through 18. 15
Deception.
is Deception.
Yep, that's all Rico Hardin.
Disgrace. Friends and Enemies, which, again, Obi-Wan
Still Rico
and
Hardin.
Anakin. Yeah.
The box was the cube. Remember the
cube.
Yeah, that was the testing ground for the bounty hunters.
Yes. Oh, that was so cool.
And then the actual
loved that.
Abduction of Palpatine.
Right. And what's the third one? Was that the second one we just talked about?
Yeah, so the third one
The
is
third one.
season 5,
Yes.
14 to 16.
Season 5. Am I in 5?
Yes.
Yeah. 14 is Eminence. This is Darth Maul and Savage Opress. Form an alliance with Mandalorian terrorists, recruit Death Watch. Okay, so this is more Mandalore stuff, which makes sense. That's 14 through
And
what?
that's 14 through 16. So that's
Yeah.
when he kills
Satine.
Satine.
Okay, so Satine is going to be important in the show. Is all I'm learning is that relationship is coming up, which is kind of interesting to me. That they've pretty much confirmed that. Otherwise, what on earth is this?
You know what would be absolutely awesome
Yes, sir.
is if they did flashbacks or like memories with her, but got Nicole Kidman to
That'd be
play her.
crazy.
That'd be fantastic, but I don't think they have the money for that.
No, but
It's Disney. Of course they have the money for that.
I mean, they got only so much budget on every show, though.
Right, but they managed to bring in, for Rebels, Forrest Whitaker. Mm-hmm. They got Frank Oz. Mm-hmm. They got Malcolm McDowell. They got Ian McDermott. They
really did get Ian McDermott. I was like, what on earth?
They went for it.
They did. Anyway, I just thought that was very interesting. I wanted to talk about the specific Clone Wars episodes that they picked. Because they're not going to do that for no reason. You know, there's so many episodes of Clone Wars that they specifically picked these.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see all those characters, but
No,
they will
so.
probably be mentioned or at least get you into the mindset of what.
Yeah.
That if you just watched the trilogy, what would you be missing?
Yeah, I like that it seems very obvious that Mandalore and Satine are coming up. Which is kind of exciting, you know. Even if we don't see her, just to have Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan talk about Satine, I'm gonna cry. Like that's enough for me to cry.
Yeah, and so for anybody who didn't get my Nicole Kidman comment, Moulin Rouge, the name Satine comes from Moulin Rouge, but the look of Satine comes from Cate Blanchett. So I think either of those actresses would be one of those like nailed it. Type of actresses, but you're right. The budgetary constraints. Although it would be if it's like memory flashback, it would be like a minute, like something
probably
like that.
Right.
But what could we do? The voice actress? Could she do it?
No idea what she looks like.
I have no idea what she looks like.
I don't know.
But because I love when they do that.
Yes.
When they're like, here's the voice
cool.
actor.
Right.
Anna Graves is the voice actress.
What a name! Sorry, I love that name. Anna Graves. That's awesome. Sorry, I gotta go. Don't look at me like
She
that.
could actually.
Yeah.
I will Google for your visual.
For my visuals, thank you.
It does not look like she's done
Live action.
Live
stuff.
action. She seems to be primarily a voice actress, which is
Yeah.
not saying that she couldn't go on to live action. Just I know people who are primarily voice actors tend to stick with voice acting. Mm-hmm. Because it's a very different style of acting.
I mean, obviously they didn't cast Ashley Eckstein for Ahsoka, which still makes me angry. But
and that's the same thing. That's not a live action actor. So I think that was
right, yeah, I know. Yeah. She's done like live stuff, but not really notable.
Yeah, this is all voice work.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it is fair that there's a lot of people who are like Ahsoka is black, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. So that's also fair, and that might have been part of that, but I have no idea.
So, moving on with the news.
Yes, please.
Dark Horse, we had talked before. IDW lost the license to their Star Wars comics, and it was transferred over to Dark Horse. There was a question on whether they'd be both doing licenses, but it's plainly obvious that IDW no longer has the license, and that Dark Horse picked up the exact same license. Especially now that they have announced two separate lines of stories, one being called Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, which will take the place of the Star Wars Adventures line from IDW. It would be the anthology series. Although here, I know in Star Wars Adventures, the writer was primarily the same, at least through one of the two stories in every issue. Here it seems like they're actually going to try to get a multitude of writers throughout the run, so I'm hoping a little more variety, because I know a lot of the stories were not to my liking, but I know they are also tended to be more kid-guided, kid-directed, so...
Yeah.
I love a good anthology.
I do like an anthology.
DC does those holiday one-shots, and it's like a series of 10 stories all written by different people. When I was going to New York Comic-Con, I was picking up John Carpenter's Tales of a Halloween Night, and he was getting a bunch of horror writers together to tell your spooky story. I love that kind of stuff.
So, speaking of horror, the other series announced is called Tales from the Rancor Pit, which is, if anybody remembers Tales from Vader's Castle and all of its iterations that came out, it is Kevin Scott's comic line, and he is going to take this one up as well. where it's just going to be kind of spooky Star Wars stories that focus around, I guess, the Rancor pit as opposed to Vader's castle.
It's going to be cool. I mean, it looks cool. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't have a crystal ball. But looks dope.
You don't have a crystal ball over
You
do have a crystal ball.
I have several, I think. Yeah. Well, I have Madame Leota, and she's got one, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, and our last bit of news is Marvel has released the slate, that's the word I'm thinking of, the slate of Celebration Pride covers for upcoming Pride Month. And they include covers for Bounty Hunters, the Obi-Wan series, which I find interesting that on the Obi-Wan series is Kofan Faris, who is a Dr. Aphra character.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of has me questioning when that series takes place, because my comic book shop hasn't gotten Marvel in 2 months, so I am severely behind on all my comics. Yay. Darth Vader has a lot of the handmaidens on it.
I love this one.
And anybody who has been reading the 3 Padme books knows that the handmaidens, some of the handmaidens, are definitely part of the LGBTQIA plus community. The Mandalorian has Vi Moradi on it. I didn't know there was a Mandalorian comic.
I didn't know that either. Well, it's in issue 1, so that
on sale July 6th.
Yeah. And I love Vi. I love Vi so much. So this is cool.
I haven't seen her in the parks yet, so I'm hoping.
I haven't either.
Yeah,
she wasn't there when I visited Galaxy's Edge the one time.
I really like this logo.
The logo's really cool.
Very
yeah, you're
cool.
right.
Retro and
yeah,
with the rainbow flag. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
The main Star Wars line, Han Solo and Chewbacca. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if the Han Solo and Chewbacca has Lula. Zine on the cover, who are the High Republic characters.
Yeah.
And that's not the time frame of Han Solo and Chewbacca, so I don't know if they're just putting them on the cover or if they are actually incorporated into the story.
My guess would be it's just the cover, but I don't know. That's cool.
And then Dr. Aphra.
Very nice.
Who Dr. Aphra on the cover of Dr. Aphra is...
well, those are probably related, right?
Yeah, I think there's a line
Dr.
there.
Aphra's probably going to be in that issue.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vader being my favorite here. I love the handmaidens.
Why did I think that Dr. Aphra died?
I don't know, Jim. Did Dr. Aphra die?
Did she fake her death during her run?
She has died a couple times, but she always comes back because she's Dr. Aphra.
I haven't read in quite a while.
Vader threw her out of an airlock.
Yeah, I remember that. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that'll do it.
That was the end of the Darth Vader run. Actually, that was before even her own comic series.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because you got me that Vader book.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and so the next time after, that was her run on Darth Vader, and then she gets thrown out of the airlock. Immediately after that, she starts her own comic series. So that's Dr. Aphra #1. So clearly,
that's impressive. I get thrown out of an airlock and start my own series.
I get a book.
Yeah.
I get a book. That's cool. Yeah, no, really nice covers. I like them a lot.
I think that's all I have on the news. Are we ready to talk some Rebels?
Rebels?
Yeah, I think so.
Care to let me in on the secret?
Kid, I'm about to let everyone in on the secret. All troopers, focus your fire on the Jedi!
There's a lot of double episodes in this season.
When it started with two
doubles.
episodes, I thought that everything... Well, I mean, so when you think about it, after that, it's just serialized storytelling. Mm-hmm. There's no one-offs anymore.
Yeah.
This whole season is just one straight shot right through to the end.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is like it does start off with 2 double episodes, but really, are there any not connected episodes? I think this season is the most integrated, where literally you go from, even when they're not part 1, part 2, the next episode takes place immediately thereafter, or it continues the storyline of the previous episode. As opposed to before, you do get, they are connected, but you have like, they're going off and finding Iron Squadron, and they're going off and doing stuff with Hondo or something like that.
Right. You got the Mandalore, then you got Saw Gerrera, and then it's just we're gonna stay on Lothal for 10 episodes.
Yep.
So season 4 premiered October 15th, 2017 to March 5th, 2018. A total of 15 episodes, despite Google telling me 16 episodes. Because the final episode, as Nicole found out when she was watching, is actually 47 minutes long, not 23 minutes long.
I thought I was halfway done with the episode. I was like, wow, this is moving. And then I paused it. I was like, oh, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
Pleasant surprise. It was a half an hour more instead of 10 minutes more, so I was fine with that.
And yeah, you're right. I think besides the Mandalore episodes and the Saw Gerrera episodes, the remaining 11 episodes are very tightly connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very cool when you're watching the early part of it and they're teeing up all the things that are going to happen, and they don't pick up on everything right away. So, like, a little farther down the line when they escape with the TIE Defender and they crash it, and Sabine's like, we gotta, like, I can get it out of the ship, we'll hide it, make a run for it, come back for it. And the hyperdrive, yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say hyperspace? I don't know.
You
didn't say anything, actually.
It's early.
It's
So they stash it, but then they move on with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come back to it in a future episode.
Yeah.
Not something you usually see in, like, particularly a kid's show, but, like, even just a cartoon of the storytelling that they've usually done up to this point. You wouldn't see them just drop something for the next episode.
Well, even, like, major spoiler, if you haven't seen season 4, I would definitely recommend that you stop and watch Rebels, because, like, this is the biggest spoiler. That Kanan dies, and Kanan dies right at the end of an episode, and they had, like, imagine watching this week to week. Actually, looking, the one he dies in, and the next one, when he dies in Jedi Knight, episode 10, and Doom is the next one. They premiered on the same day, so I
So you didn't have to wait that long for the.
You didn't have to wait
fallout.
that long. I was thinking, I'm like, oh man, they really wanted to, like, drive that dagger home.
If this was like AMC's Star Wars series, he would have died. There would have been a 4-month break in the show.
Yeah.
And then they would have come back and been like, see what happens.
Yeah, see how they deal with that. My God. Yeah, that was spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a lot to have. The end of that episode of just, like, the white logo and absolutely no sound, and just, like, it felt so heavy in the most beautiful way. And
I like that it wasn't this, like, it wasn't a ham-fisted sacrifice. It wasn't something that you'd look at and be like, oh, if he had just done this, he would have lived. He didn't have to stand there. No, literally he had to either hold back the flame and move the ship away, or get on the ship, and they all
die.
Crisp.
Even to, like, double down on that, they gave really the writers the option. We can save Kanan, but you can't. Like, that's how, like, important he is. Is like, if you save Kanan, everybody else dies, including you. So that's kind of one of those black boxes.
The rebellion fails.
Yeah.
If Kanan doesn't do that, the rebellion fails. Likely. Because, I mean, I'm sitting there watching Thrawn do his TIE Defender thing, and I'm like, I think Sabine says it, like, we don't stand a chance against these things. Like, there's no shot. And because in that moment, because of Kanan's sacrifice, the whole friggin' place blows up. If Kanan doesn't do that, and they don't blow up the whole frickin' factory, right? If they do things differently, and that doesn't happen, likely that TIE Defender program would have continued. We would have seen it, you know, in the events of the original films. Everything would have changed. Literally everything from that point on is different if you have Thrawn in the TIE Defender program instead of, like, Tarkin and the Death Star, or both. And then you're like, oh, Kanan sacrificing himself leads to the rebellion succeeding almost in a direct line, which I was very impressed by. I was like, wow, this has a lot of weight that I didn't expect it to have.
So the thing about, I think they dealt with Thrawn very well in this series and kind of give him an overall. Thrawn is not possible to be beaten, but they beat him.
Yeah.
But they beat him because they have things that he cannot anticipate. And that's the only way to beat Thrawn. They beat him in the first season because they had the Bendu. The Bendu is the only reason that they beat him. And even, I don't know if you noticed what the Bendu said to Thrawn about how he was defeated. I think Alex and I specifically didn't really talk about that because I didn't want to spoil this for you.
Yeah.
Because he said that the Bendu said, "I see you being wrapped in 1,000 arms," or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, your defeat will come.
Yeah. Alex mentioned it, but he didn't. We didn't go into it, and I skipped over entirely because I didn't want to spoil it, especially if you kind of had an inkling.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. No, I had no idea what was going on.
Because they clearly planned this whole thing out very well. Is that they were teasing the end of the series back in season 3.
Yeah.
And then,
which makes sense when you get to this, and they're like, by episode 5, it's Dave Filoni and Henry Gilroy saying, everything is now for the end game. We are not wasting any time. We know where this goes, and we need 4 hours to tell this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that the only way they beat Thrawn at the end is, again, pulling things out that he doesn't anticipate, and that is our favorite Purgles.
The Purgles!
Still weird.
I equated
Still
it to the
weirdos.
TIE Fighter in the first season, where Dave Filoni doesn't give you things that aren't going to be important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just... As soon I texted you in all caps, like, the effing Purgle? Like, I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, I screamed. I'm sitting in my apartment with a cat, and he ran out of the room because I screamed the Purgle so loud. I was not in any way expecting it, but it made so much sense. Those are my favorite, like, little twists or moments in stories. When I truly, as a writer, do not see something coming, but as soon as it happens, I'm like, yes, of course. Like, it fits perfectly. It's just, I was so impressed. I was so impressed by that.
You know what I caught a lot of this time watching through is Kanan's eyes, how they have kind of the blind, clouded overlook.
Mm-hmm.
They look just like the Purgle eyes.
Ooh. I'll tell
And they
you
did
what,
it a few
speaking of his
times.
eyes,
It wasn't just his. Like, they did it a few times that they, like Ezra's eyes would, they had that same effect at some points.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that is the Purgle eye. Like, it was exactly like it. And they focused in on the Purgle eyes so much during that first Purgle episode.
Interesting.
That's true, yeah, when he's riding one out of the cloud of gas, and he's like, his face is in this thing's eye. And you kind of see, like, it looks almost like hyperspacey kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. What broke my heart, to go back to Kanan a little bit, because dang, I want to talk about Kanan and Hera so much. But
This is
when
their season.
Oh, it's so good. Brilliant.
Yeah, I got a question about it.
When Kanan is about to, like, push them away, and his eyes, like, I'm like, he can see again. Like, he gets his sight back for, like, a hot second and then dies. I was just sitting there like, listen, for a quote-unquote kids show, to be able to get that across in such a subtle, but not subtle, beautiful way of just, like, there are no words, there's nothing. It says everything you need to know, that he was able to, like, see them as he sacrificed himself for them, especially Hera. I was a wreck. I was a wreck because I was like that. It was so, the finesse. That's what I'm looking for. The finesse of that moment, of the writing, the direction, the animation, everything, stunning. I've never seen a death in Star Wars that I think was handled so poetically and beautifully. Nothing else comes to mind, at least. I could be forgetting something, but nothing else comes to mind that was so gorgeous like that. I was so impressed, and I was like, this is for children. Like,
well, you also
no,
mentioned it
it's
before.
not.
It was so impactful. It wasn't
Yes.
a throw-off death. It was the
No.
literally definition of the heroic death.
Like, that's what he was there for.
He knows it's coming.
Oh, he knows for
He
like
tries to tell her.
episodes.
One of the last things he also tells her, and you actually had pointed out earlier in season 2, before they go off to Malachor, he says, "We'll see each other again." And when I think it's when they're on the rooftop and they're like going to get on the glider, and he says, "I really wish I could see you," and she says, "You always could see me," and then she sees him. Or
He said, I believe he said something else. Also, I forgot that he got his sight back right before he died, and he said something like, "We'll see about that later," or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no accidents with the dialogue in this show at all, which I think is really, really cool. But I just, listen, their couple moments together in this season, like, they kissed twice, and I was like, yay.
Well, they
And,
did
like,
more
there's-
than that.
Yeah,
Well,
they
all right.
did.
There's
here's
my
the-
question. When?
So, here's my thing, though. There's a couple moments of dialogue that make not a ton of sense, and it's clear that, like, there's a little bit of, like, look over here and not over here. Like, Kanan says, like, listen, Hera, about what happened. And nothing happened? Like, nothing happened that, like, they would have started that conversation. And I was like, did something happen off screen? Like, did something happen off camera, quote unquote, that, like, we don't know about? And then there's a child, and I'm like, ah.
But when they're hiding around Lothal,
Yeah.
Sabine and Ezra go to Old Joe's bar.
Yeah, sure.
They end up like hiding down an alleyway away from stormtroopers, and they say it's been a long time since we've been alone.
So it's after that.
It's during the period when Hera is on Lothal before she comes back, because there is literally no time once she comes back. So it has to be in that between the couple episodes when she's on there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he's about to talk about it in that when he says about what happened. I forget what they're doing, but like they're having a different conversation. And he says, Hera, look, about what happened, and then she starts a different conversation. She's like, we are not going there. And I feel like that's a little like one of those things where like no kid's gonna be like, what? Or like even begin to think about it, but like they planted that, so if you were looking for it, there's like something. And then like
It means they stopped the mission for a while, and
something's up. And also Hera says like, I have to tell you something, when she's all like goofy from like the truth serum or whatever.
I thought it
And
was
then-
that she loves him, but you're
but
right.
she then says, I figured out how to say this, I love you. Like, she backs out as she, like, kind of gets sober. She backs out of telling him the thing that she's having a child. And then, like, when she's crying to Chopper after he dies, like, she says, like, why did I wait so long to tell him? And I feel like that's not just the I love you part. Like, she's saying, why did I wait so long to tell him that they were gonna have a little green hair baby? Like, it's just named Jason, spelled weird.
It's Jason, actually, from the Legends canon, because Han and Leia's son is named Jason, spelled weird. I did not know that was pronounced Jason for the longest time.
That's so interesting.
There's a JAC.
But yeah, I think it was there. Like, those little baby hints are there, but they're planted in a way that, like, an adult would be like, I see what's happening, but no child would ever even think about it. Because obviously, like, I don't know how most people parent, but a lot of children would not know the logistics of how that would happen.
So even knowing that they end up with a kid, I watched the whole thing being like, when did this?
I
did this
have to
happen?
go back and be
I
like
missed
pinpointing
everything that you're talking about. I completely
It was, I believe,
Yeah.
after the time that they kissed. I think that's the only time we have time for it to happen.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's just like
The first time.
Because unfortunately, all of this was spoiled for me. So, I had seen a video where someone unpacked. There's a new bust, I think, of Kanan that's like so freaking cool. But this person was unboxing the bust, and she was saying like, oh, this is like after he cuts his hair in his last episode. And I was like, fudge! So I knew, I was like, as soon as he cuts his hair, he's gonna die. So I knew that episode he was gonna die. And then I had seen like a fan cut, like Kanan and Hera ship fan like edit that had the kid in it. And like, I was like, okay, so Kanan's gonna die and then Hera's gonna have a kid. So I was waiting. I was like looking for the hints, which is why I picked up on all of this. It still hit me like a truck. But I knew, unfortunately, that all of this was about to happen.
Some of those lines are absolutely hysterical, though. She's like, I hate your hair, because I hate his hair, too.
Yeah,
and he's like,
it's not
sorry, I couldn't find a mirror.
So good. They are so good together. Yeah,
They
very
really
good.
had a bad look.
It wasn't great.
What was the purpose of it?
I think, so...
He wanted
you
to
know
look
how-
like when he first met her.
That, but also, you know
read
how
from the short description.
Padawans lose their braid?
Uh-huh.
They, like, cut their hair when they become, like, knights or masters or wherever they're gone.
Yeah.
I feel like it had something to do with that. Like, cutting your hair as a Jedi seems
leveled
to
up.
be important. So I feel like that's part of it as well.
The other part is...
Because he knew he was going to die.
There's no explanation for why his name is actually Caleb Doom. And then he goes by Kanan Jarrus. So was he Caleb Doom and then he was Kanan Jarrus when he was undercover after Order 66?
Yes, he changed his name after Order 66.
I figured it out.
Okay, because I need to go back. Because there's the scene, the Order 66 scene in Bad Batch is him and his master, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I need to go back and watch that because I feel like she
That's
calls out to him.
right.
But I don't remember.
She said,
if
I believe she
called
said
him
Caleb. Yeah, I believe
Okay,
she
I
said
gotta go
Caleb.
back and watch.
And as I recall, it's Freddie
unfortunately.
Prinze Jr. voicing
Yes.
10-year-olds.
That's cute.
Yep.
I gotta go back and just watch like those like the Hera episode and that like little bit of Bad Batch, like the stuff that is gonna make more sense to me now. I feel like I have to go back and watch now that I've seen Clone Wars and Rebels. I said this. Did I say this to you, Jim? I was like, I understand so much now. Like I was just like, this all makes like crossing Rebels off my list was just like, okay.
It's the connective
So
tissue.
I know canon now.
Well,
like
so
I fully
much
get
is
it.
tied to Rebels. All of the live
Yes.
action shows are tied to Rebels.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And
Intricately.
I liked that Rey's voice is in Rebels. What? I was like,
Yep.
the timeline exploded
the
in
world
my head.
between worlds.
It was just like, it was that we should talk about that scene of like that force portal thing.
While we're still talking about
but let's get
Kanan
into
and
it.
Hera,
Yes. Let's close that
like
up.
previously to this, and generally, like you look at the Clone Wars, your main characters don't die. Like
No.
in the Clone Wars, your main characters are Obi-Wan, Rex, Anakin, and Ahsoka. They don't die. They still don't die. Like they
Yeah.
don't. And then we come to Rebels, and you have your 5 main characters. They don't die. All of a sudden, Kanan dies. They killed off one of your main characters. Knowing this, coming back into the season, puts Hera in like jeopardy the entire season. Like she is constantly in jeopardy, being
Yes.
shot down in an X-wing, being captured. Like I actually like feel I know she survives, but yet it seems her not surviving is much more possible now, knowing that they are willing to kill off a main character.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, Freddie Prinze Jr. talks a lot about how the Force works, which I think is really cool. He has one particular interview that is so good where he just goes off about the Force and he's like this is from George Lucas, like I'm not making this up, this is how the Force works. And that's my Freddie Prinze
That's
Jr.
a pretty
by the way.
good Freddie Prinze Jr.
And he's so like excited about it because like this whole rant starts with him. He's like, you're just mad Star Wars isn't for you anymore because we made it for kids, and you're just mad that Han Solo gave the Millennium Falcon to a girl. And he's mad. He's big mad in this interview, and it's great.
He's an enormous nerd, and I
He's
love it.
the best. Like, I want to watch him and Sam Witwer just talk. That's what I want to see. But anyway, he's talking about the balance of the Force, and he's like, who wins is dictated by balance, not skill, not who's good or who's bad. It's balance. And he's like, this is out of George Lucas's mouth. Everything is about balance. And he's like giving examples of this, that, the other thing. And it feels like because Hera escapes death so much, and we need Hera because she's in the Battle of Endor, and she's like so important, like, to the rebellion. Because she escapes death so much, she loses him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, someone has to die, so it's him instead of her. And he's, like, at peace with that. So I had that in my brain the whole time. Of just, like, over and over and over again, she escapes death. And it's almost like the Force demands blood. In that, like, it's like, hey, you can keep getting out of this. Because he gets you out of, like, that interrogation chair. And away from Governor Pryce and away from Thrawn. You gotta go, buddy. It's almost like trading his life for hers. In this, like, really deep way. And, of course, he'd do that. He'd do that a million times because he's Kanan and I love him. He's a bad boyfriend 90% of the time. But you know what? He's cute. We'll let it go. Like, it's just like their relationship is so interesting to me. But, like, that moment, that him basically dying to save her in many ways is just... It's so brilliant. But yeah, she's definitely protected a lot in this season, I think, by the Force. Just being like, no, we need her for a minute.
I love how well she's respected, too, by Thrawn and Pryce. Like,
there's a few times when Thrawn says, when they're doing the test flight of the Defender, and he says, if it was Captain Syndulla, they would not have survived us long.
So we'd all be dead.
The best part, like, tying to that exactly, when she's flying the X-Wing, and she literally shoots 2 TIE fighters at the same time, one with each gun.
Yes.
And he goes... That's General Syndulla.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
He's like big in love with her, I think. No,
he's a huge admirer,
yes.
and he also understands that she must be defeated.
Yes.
But the only time we see him lose his cool is when the fuel depot blows up, and he tells Governor Pryce, like, I gotta go to Coruscant, but when I come back,
I'm gonna kill your ass. Like, ooh.
The debt will be paid. And it's the only time, even going to, like, through to the end, and the moment that he disappears at the end of the show, that he's truly unhinged.
There's one other moment, again, in season 3, where he, like, friggin' gets in someone's face and, like, growls, and I was like, hello, and just, like, chills, like, full body chills. But yeah, he did that again.
It's
there,
always...
I was like, woof.
It's always his own side.
Yes.
If somebody doesn't
Yes.
do something on his own side, it's the enemy is what he's playing chess against. It's when your own pawns don't do what you tell them to do that he gets pissed.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I love that about him. He's just like, he's a maniac. But yeah, like when he's like throwing death threats around, it's like, okay, Thrawn.
Yeah.
Calm down.
They never undermine his tactical brilliance.
No. And it's everyone else screwing him
They
up.
demonstrate that if the wrong person loses their cool at the wrong time, that's what ruins the whole plan. That is why the rebellion can win. Not because of him.
No. And that's why he's so mad.
Like, they lose despite having the best player in the game.
And it perfectly explains why we don't see him.
Yes.
In the films. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, obviously, again, we have to take this guy off the board in order for the rebels to win, because if we don't, there's no shot. Like, there is no chance in hell if Thrawn is in the game. You lose. And I think that this show did a brilliant job of being able to introduce such a force. And then force lowercase, not capital. And then being able to tactfully pull him right off the board so that nothing in the movies is tainted. It's so brilliant. And yeah, it makes sense why he gets so mad, because he knows that's the only way they lose. Because he will beat the rebels every time as long as no one sabotages him on his own team. And we know... I don't exactly know how it happens with the Chiss, but, like, obviously he's failed miserably before. And that's why he's in the Empire and not with, like, his people. And he ain't doing that again. It's just, it's brilliant. It's really, really smart.
So one of the things that I personally love about Star Wars, especially, say, I'm an agnostic, and I love actual like spirituality in general. I love studying, and I love all matters of spirituality. And so the big thing that I really like in Star Wars is when they delve into the more spiritual Force topics. And this season is inundated with the spiritual aspects, going back to the Jedi Temple. And we mentioned before that the Jedi Temple got taken over by the Empire. And what happened to it? Well, we find out what happened to it, and that they dug a really big hole next to it.
They really did.
And moved a whole section of it somehow.
Palpatine was like...
The door.
And like moved it.
Well, he said they cut out the door. Ezra said, he's like, it looks like they cut out the door. That was the door on the Star Destroyer.
Yes. I loved the tie-in to Clone Wars of like the father, the daughter, and the brother.
Oh, yeah, the Mortis arc.
Right? Is that what they are?
Yep.
Yes.
The son. The son, not
son
the
and the
brother.
daughter, yeah.
That makes sense.
Father.
Yeah, I was like, I got something wrong there. The father, the son, and the daughter, and bringing that back. And I was like, ooh, okay. Our little owl friend is a cutie.
And who's actually explained. They never explained the owl before.
Yeah, I love that they did that.
Because that motif continued into The Mandalorian. It continued into season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yep. Yeah.
That owl sticks around.
It do. I was just blown away by a lot of the twists and turns, but that was really cool. That callback and just the entering the Loth Wolves, bro. I have a running list of tattoos that I want, and the Loth Wolf made the list. I was like, I just want a Loth Wolf. That's so cool.
Loth Cat, okay. Loth Wolf, okay. When they said Loth Bat, I almost lost my cool. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. I love cats, wolves, and bats. So I was on
everything
board.
is just Loth thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So when they show up and they're going undercover and they're wearing hats, they're Loth hats.
They're Loth hats.
Loth hats, yep. But they have
everything that happens on that world is Loth something.
Yes.
Well, they have mentioned that the Tuca cat is a Loth cat, just not on Lothal.
Just elsewhere.
Elsewhere, yes. So a Loth cat is a Tuca cat.
I would love to get a tattoo of a big freaking honkin' Loth Wolf with the white Loth cat on its head.
Oh, yes.
But, bro, the Loth cats look so freaking stupid and I love them. I love them so much, but their little faces are so dumb. Like, there's nothing going on. I'm looking at designs right now. Yes. So this is like a print from Far, Far Away Factory.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look at that stupid face. Like, there's just nothing going on there. Whereas the, I mean, I like this one. No one can see what I'm talking about. But, like, it's just, the Loth Wolf's face is so beautiful and expressive and detailed and so much going on. And the Loth Cat is kind of just a smiley face. Like, that's it.
It's a big old head on a not so big old body.
But the feet are so cute. I just, listen, whatever. The point is, I love the Loth Wolves. I love how they were incorporated. I love how important they were. I love all of their skills. All of their skills are great.
Whenever they talk, it's like something important is happening. Like, every single time. Because they constantly, like, even before Kanan died, they're just like, do.
Yeah.
That's it.
At least it's not like the Bendu saying that he's the Bendu, he's the one in the middle. Every episode he shows up.
Like I
I'm
think
the video game boy. I'm the one who wins. It's the same energy.
They definitely like the Loth Wolves are far more impactful than the Bendu was, and they're just more spiritual guides.
Yeah,
and
they're really cool
until they're vicious murder machines.
Right. Wow. Geez, they're strong. I want them on my side all the time.
They're also the size of a house.
I love the big boy.
The big one.
Doom.
Holy hell.
The big boy.
The big one, Doom, or the big one, the one that says Doom?
I'm thinking the big one that is Doom.
The big one that is Doom. Wow. But also the big one that says Doom. The white one. The white Loth Wolf.
Yes.
Oh, I love him too. I'm like, oh, these babies. Like, they are so expressive and so cute. And I love the one that just picks up Chopper and just, like, runs with it. And then, like, drops him and like kind of like smirks at Chopper, who's losing his mind, and he just runs away. I was like, that one's my favorite. The one that can't talk.
I like
They're just chilling.
Zeb has some of the best lines in this when like Zeb's talking to the Loth Wolf and Ezra's like, they don't talk.
These
And
ones
he's like,
don't talk.
They talk with their eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was so in love with that line.
Oh,
But,
also the other line, I bring it up now. I texted you, Nicole, when he said it while I was watching. I think it was something like things are getting weird, which is good.
It's good when it's weird. Like whatever, I laughed out loud.
I think is that in response to something Ryder Azadi says?
No,
I think
it's
so.
right before they go through the portal with the Loth Wolves.
Yes,
That's right. There is an interaction
funny.
with Ryder when they're going to steal a TIE Defender, and I think they're going off script. And Ryder Azadi's like, "What? Like, why is this happening?" And he's like, "Don't worry. If this is happening, then we're probably going to be okay."
Oh,
Yes.
when it gets strange like this, it's a good thing.
yes, yeah. That's just really good. Zeb is very clearly like the conduit for kids to like fully understand what's going on. Like that's the use of Zeb.
He has almost no role in this season.
None, not a one.
Yeah, you know who else doesn't? Hot Callus.
Hot Callus.
But I forgot about Hot Callus for a good like hour and a half of this season because he's just not there.
I mean, he shows up. One thing at the Yavin 4, he's one of the first people you see.
Yes, and he is. Wow,
He's
was
rocking the dad bod though. He's kind of a little
I
like.
love it. I love it for him.
A little beefier.
He looks great to me, and then he gets in the Imperial uniform, and you're like, go back. No, I was just like, oh yeah, he's around. But the fact that Zeb and Callus have such this beautiful relationship, and that's like the end game for them, is like
the end of that, like Zeb being more the comic relief. But that last shot where he took Callus to the new Lasat.
To Lyrasan.
It's like, like
I got teary-eyed.
goosebumps. Like
Yeah.
you didn't kill these people, like
Yeah,
despite
what a
it being
nice
orders
thing.
and everything. Like obviously this weighed heavily on you. It's like
yeah, I
This
think
is-
that's a beautiful end to like their arc together. And
well, no, they get married and like
right, they yes, obviously they do.
They have little Callus Aureliuses.
Little like cat babies.
Would you say he's a cat man?
Yeah. What do you
looks
think
cat-like?
Zeb
You
is?
think he looks cat-like?
Have you seen his ears? Yeah, he's a little cat guy,
I
right?
don't know.
The older I get, the more I walk like Zeb. My back hurts and I lumber along. I love Zeb. Like I love him so much.
Lumbering's a great word for what he does.
Definitely.
I really
He's
like
great.
that Hondo calls him Purple Guy.
Yeah,
That's my
hey,
favorite.
purple guy.
That's my favorite Zeb nickname. Even though in the last episode, he goes, "Purple Guy, we're going." Like,
Yeah, I liked Hondo's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go be a good guy for a minute. But
Yes.
he's still Hondo about it.
but he's like, "There's nothing I wouldn't do for that boy." When he's talking about Ezra,
Yeah, I was like, whoa, Hondo,
and he's
you care.
genuinely happy when Melch is not dead.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, growth? Question mark. So then when you see him in Galaxy's Edge and he's still like Hondo, it's like, oh, okay.
But he's also like a fully fledged member of the rebellion by that
Yeah,
point. So
he's
like
so cool.
it does make sense that he's
yeah,
chosen a side.
yeah,
He's
it's
not just
interesting.
agent of chaos.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. But going way back to like the spiritual stuff, we got to talk about inside the temple. Obviously, that like kind of where time and space and everything converge, and you hear stuff from the prequels, and you hear stuff from the original trilogy, and you hear like old Obi-Wan and young Obi-Wan, and like it echoes the scene in Force Awakens when Rey grabs the lightsaber and like hears freaking everybody, and then also in Rise of Skywalker when all of the Jedi are like with her and like she hears all the voices and stuff. Ezra goes through the same thing in the temple, and you hear Rey's voice, which I was like, oh, like my brain
They
exploded.
subtitle it, which
That's
so we were
great.
talking about before we came online.
Yeah.
It was straight because usually when you see something subtitled, it's as much information as a character has.
But
so,
not
like
this.
when Old Master shows up and he's not yet revealed himself to be Maul, he's captioned as Man or Man One or something until that reveal. But I guess for moments like that, they're teeing up. Like if you're watching with subtitles and you're trying to catch the Easter eggs, There's no doubt in your mind. That's Rey.
Yeah.
That's Yoda. That's Darth Vader.
Love that.
That's Anakin. That's Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
It's great. It's a really cool moment.
And the subtitles also give you, like, as someone who is hard of hearing, it gives you a lot of information that I don't know if normal people would be able to catch, because a lot of it is very low.
No.
That
Yeah.
is basically mumbling to me.
Yeah, I same. I needed the subtitles in that moment, and I remember when we did the rewatch of Rise of Skywalker, I hadn't seen it since the theater, so that when it was subtitled and like I saw, okay, Ahsoka's saying this and this, like I got a list basically of everyone who's in that scene, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, and it was kind of like the same cast of characters for Ezra, which was like really, really cool. And then obviously we got to talk about the fact that Ahsoka didn't die, y'all.
Yeah,
like,
that's what we said. Like,
y'all
like,
really
you
just
don't
were
find
like, no,
out.
she's dead.
Kinda?
She's not, though.
She's kind
Because
of.
for her experience, so this is how time typically works. I don't know if this is how it's working.
Keep in mind, we're in a galaxy far, far away.
I understand. I don't know how it's working in Star Wars, but from every storytelling, like, time standpoint, the idea is that every time Ezra was pulling Ahsoka out of that moment.
Yes.
Like, she never died.
No.
Like, it's not like he went back and changed anything. Ezra always did that. It was just Ezra was in two places at once,
That
right?
was going to be the killing blow. You see Vader's
Yes.
lightsaber come down. Like, she's
yeah.
not getting out of that.
No, she's not, but she
No,
did.
that's the point
because-
of
yeah.
everything happening at once, is that that already happened. He
Right.
already saved her
Right.
when it happened.
And
Correct.
her going into the hole at the end of season 2
Was actually her coming out of
leaving the world between worlds, and
because she had to go
going-
back to her own time, which makes you wonder what happened to her, and will we get that answer, because we don't see her until the
3 years
epilogue,
later. Yeah.
which is actually, we don't know when that takes place. Like jumping ahead,
It's sometime after Battle of Endor.
Well, if you
but yeah, so at least
approximate
3.
how old that kid is.
no, but even that doesn't say anything about that. Jason doesn't have to be the same time that we're seeing
You're right. It doesn't mean
Ahsoka,
anything.
because Dave Filoni has specifically said that we don't know when that clip takes place in relation to The Mandalorian and Book
It
of
could
Boba
even be
Fett.
after her appearance. Her
could be.
appearances on those. It could,
Could
be.
be.
She gets information on where Thrawn is, comes to pick up Sabine, and says, like, I found it.
Oh, you're
It could be
exactly
that.
right. Because, I mean, obviously Sabine's not with her in The Mandalorian.
Yes,
Right.
and look at that
They
city.
could be elsewhere.
Yeah, so what? Where is that?
So I saw...
That's Capital City,
this-
I think.
It is. So it's in the first... Someone did a side-by-side of the first episode and the last episode. And there's a moment where, in the first episode, Ezra is overlooking the exact same spot.
Oh, so they're still on Lothal.
Yes, it's still Lothal.
Yeah, she is in
he's
Ezra's
overlooking
tower.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Like, he's looking, like, standing the exact same way, leaning on the railing, and then, like, then it's Sabine doing the exact same thing. It's
She
really
has his
cool.
haircut.
Yes, she does. I was really happy with how important Sabine turned out to be. You know, like, they kind of shifted the focus at the end to be on her.
Well, they shifted the
which is
focus
cool.
to be on her for future, what we haven't seen yet. This is 4 years ago this episode came out. We still do not have a resolution to this.
But you
No,
know
it's
that
cool.
Filoni's got it in mind. You know
Oh,
that
he knows. He knows exactly what
he
it
and
is.
Henry Gilroy and Kevin Kiner were like, they know where the story goes from there.
Yeah.
There's a reason why these characters aren't involved in the original trilogy until, as they said, Hera and Rex were in the Battle of Endor.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't say they were in the Battle of Yavin, that they were on Hoth. Like, none of those things are mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, the ghost is in Rogue One.
I gotta go watch
So-
that.
And
I
so
did-
is Chopper.
I did wanna
Chopper's
touch
in Rogue
on-
One, too.
I'm going back.
I
and
did
watching
want
that.
to touch on how the early part of the season really makes me want to rewatch Rogue One, and it's been a while since I've watched it. But the drops about Admiral Krennic, Tarkin's lack of faith in that project, and basically telling Thrawn, like, I would put all of my backing behind you and the TIE Defender project as opposed to what Krennic is doing, because I just don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
The original Thrawn book goes much more into that. It basically ties in with this season of Rebels, and so like it's the book just called Thrawn,
Yeah.
and so we get you see Thrawn and the Tide Project and where what's his name? Tarkin. Tarkin kind of ties in all that and how Tarkin is really on Thrawn's team, but then when this factory gets blown up,
He has no choice
your
but to
team
back
got
the other guy.
decimated.
Right.
Yeah. A little goofed.
Yep.
Plus, the other
Yeah,
team has a
I-
lot more money, and anybody who's worked government contracts knows the team with the more money means that they're going to get the more money because you already put so much money into it that you
Yep.
want a return on that.
The sunk cost fallacy.
Yes. It's I was like, okay, that's how Ahsoka's all right, great. It does make sense. I didn't think about that moment with Sabine. I was just like, oh, well, they must have split up, and that's why Sabine's not in The Mandalorian or whatever. They're trying to cover more ground, Scooby-Doo style. But
Well, it
now,
could be.
That would make so it could be that, but
It
it,
could
would
be.
make a ton of sense
If she just has it.
if she just like found out like at the end of that episode of The Mandalorian, like, where's Admiral Thrawn?
If we
And
get live
that'd be
action Ahsoka in that outfit, like the
I would put a lot of money on that.
I
happening.
guarantee it.
the
almost.
Gandalf the White.
Yes.
That's-
yeah.
Yeah.
With the staff and everything.
I'm
I
ready.
would 100%.
I'd bet money on it.
Yeah, I think that's a guarantee to show. At some point, you will see that.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just such a, my God, some of these moments are gorgeous.
It's a really great, like, the epilogue just tells you so much about what wasn't shown, but the weight of what happened, that they waited for an invasion of Lothal to be taken back, and it didn't happen, but you basically see Lothal thriving at the end.
Yeah.
So my guess is that a lot of them stayed there through the years of the Galactic Civil War. And
Well, since the Empire never came back, they like that city could physically rebuild. Although
Yeah.
I believe a lot of them would be wary while the Empire's still in power. Like
Yeah.
once the Empire's gone, it's like, well, we can do this.
We so free.
We
I wish you would stop quoting that when
I
we're here.
will never stop quoting that. What else? I mean, I feel like there's a lot in this, even
There's-
though it's only 15 episodes, 16.
But it's a tight
Whatever.
15 of like one long
Yeah.
ongoing story.
There's
All the
just as
characters that
much.
come back into play.
Yeah.
The Thrawn butting heads with Governor Price.
Governor Price needs
The-
to jump off a bridge.
The
Well,
Gambit played by
she's
Ryder.
not coming back.
Yeah, no, that she didn't have to. I mean, she might have jumped.
She might have.
But-
Who knows?
Well, I'm
that
pretty
fire
sure
might
we
have caught up with
see
her.
her as
Yeah.
the ship
Yeah.
explodes. Like,
Yes,
Yes. Oh God.
she might have tried to get out that broken window, but I don't think she made it.
I don't think so either. That was nice. I like that.
The Rook.
Oh, Rook!
The simultaneously terrifyingly fast and jacked, but also like 4 foot tall assassin man.
He's like my size.
who definitely, like, when he's first introduced, looks like he stands shoulder to shoulder with the rest of them, but then you see him later on, and he's leading the charge with stormtroopers and such, but he's like a full head and a half shorter than the
Yeah,
rest of them.
he's literally like my height, where it's just like, oh, that's embarrassing for
So,
you. And then-
you
that
said
dude cannot die and does not take fall damage.
no, none.
So
he's
you
got
said-
unlimited energy.
you've never read the original Thrawn trilogy, right?
I'm not. no.
Correct.
No, okay. Rook is his species is called the Nogri, and that was
Okay.
introduced in the original Thrawn trilogy. Rook
That's cool.
is specifically a character who was Thrawn's bodyguard through that series. And
I don't know why, but I thought you were gonna say is Thrawn's boyfriend. I would have believed it.
I thought you were going to say pet.
No, like in Legends, Vader saved the world of the Nogri, Honger, I think it was pronounced, and so the Nogri pledged a life debt to the Empire. So that's where Vader had a life debt of these Nogri. Thrawn basically took on that life debt, and so we had these trained assassins essentially as his bodyguards. And so they took Rook from that and put it into this show, which absolutely is amazing. Also played by Warwick Davis.
Stop it! That's awesome.
That's great.
I didn't know that. Good for him.
And another Legends tie-in, Thrawn's commander, who is up in the ship, is named Pelion. Pelion is his commander in the Thrawn trilogy, and actually Pelion goes on in Legends to be the head of the Empire.
Is his last name Tologist?
I hate you.
Paleontologist. I'm sorry.
Pelion,
the only thing.
Pelion is his last name.
Speaking of paleontology, though, when they were digging up the temple and everything, it made me really want a Star Wars movie that is truly like an Indiana Jones.
What does that have anything to do with paleontology?
Chasing this artifact, them like digging up the runes of some whatever.
That's
some
called
old bones
archaeology.
Oh,
that is not paleontology. They are not the same. Do not even play that game.
Jim's a scientist.
Jim is a paleontologist. I am literally
Jim
a paleontologist.
So that's why I'm in.
Dinosaur bones.
Sure, there could be space dinosaurs. Why
That's
not?
what I'm talking about. Like, you see this thing, this mythical creature, and they want to go on this galaxy-spanning quest to find whatever the hell is the answer to their problem.
So we have a space archaeologist. It's Dr. Aphra.
You're right. Anyway, I had to make
good. Then give me the Dr. Aphra show.
I'm
give me a Dr. Aphra movie.
Well, we had Black Chrysanthemum, who is from the Dr. Aphra show, so that's what people were thinking that she would.
I'm waiting for 000 to show up, or as I like to call him, a psychopathic 3PO.
So, we didn't really talk about Sabine much. She had huge first 2 episodes of the season, and then she kind of plays the Zeb role. She's just like it becomes Hera and Kanan's and Ezra's series. But
we'd kind of explained that, like, we knew where the arc was going. It was the relevance of the Darksaber, the tee up to what we end up seeing in The Mandalorian, that her legacy on that world and with her family is huge.
Yeah.
And her role here is one of more, espionage, and she's getting behind enemy lines, and she's also teaching Ezra how to fly a jetpack.
So
yeah, which is cool.
In the episodes with the Darksaber, and she gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan takes it, and we find out that was a really bad thing for everybody involved. You really just want to say, like, when you have the undercover bad guys, like, shoot me, so it would look like I actually, like, you got away. You just needed Sabine to go punch me in the face. Just punch me in the face so you can actually, like, then take the Darksaber and everything will be cool. Just to do it.
Yeah.
That was literally the answer to the end of Mandalorian. Was just like, not just I yield, take it. Like,
just punch me in the face.
Swing a hit.
Yeah.
Whack him in the Beskar. Just do something.
Whack him in the Beskar.
Or just like bonk him over the head.
Yeah, just hit him.
Because that works. Zeb uses that trick 4 different times. Just knocks a stormtrooper on the head.
Oh, the Trandoshan who was running the the smelter factory has to have brain damage by this point.
Oh my goodness.
My lord.
Yeah.
That death in the crawler.
Oh, when he falls into the incinerator?
Into the furnace thing?
Yeah.
I was like, that's dark. Yeah. Okay. That was intense. But I was also like, goodbye.
That was one of those plot contrivances that kind of bothered me when they're trying. Ezra is doing what he does and trying to pretend to be somebody else, and they just can't keep the mouth over the hand over the mouth of the Trandoshan, and he keeps saying stuff. And it's like, Zeb, you are
hit him
2.5 feet taller than this thing.
Yeah.
You should have no problem here.
Yeah.
But we need really the plot to move on. We need the Empire to show up.
Yeah. So stupid. But hey, whatever.
I like how that furnace came back, though, as their base. Like, I don't think I realized that watching it week to week, because you're like 2-3 months later, like, their base is that factory.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch it all at once, as I did, it really does seem to just be a couple of days that they're there that all this stuff happens.
Which means
that they hooked that thing up to their cliff camp in record time.
Very quickly.
And got very comfy with using that. I would have let that thing sit for a couple of weeks before I tried to step on it because I'd be afraid that any amount of weight would just send it right over. Which eventually it does. I also really liked the return of Wolf and Gregor, and Wolf admiring the Loathe Wolves decimating the stormtroopers and saying, they fight just like the boys. And I really wanted to take that super literally. And like, so your crew like just cannibalized the enemies in front of them.
Yeah. That's so good.
Tore battle droids apart limb from limb.
Freaking Mart.
Mart Matten comes back.
Listen, I said, like, because I yelled about the Purgle, and Jim was like, everything comes back, like, there is no filler, and I was like, listen, Iron Squadron's still a little freaking stupid. Because the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm, like, waiting for Mart to actually do something.
He's
and I'm like,
the one who called the Purgles.
That could have
somehow
been anyone. It didn't need to be
It could have been
Mart.
that dude that bailed him out of Old Joe's. They could have just said, hey, can you go fly
been
the
Jai.
ship and find some
Jai
parts?
was also a cult.
Dante
That's
Bosco.
yes.
Dante Bosco. It could have been him. And friggin' Zuko. Like, and friggin' what's his name in Hook? Oh my god, what's his name in Hook? Oh,
Rufio?
Thank you.
Rufio!
Phenomenal voice actor.
Is he the...
Have him do it. He's Jai.
Oh, is he Jai? I didn't realize that.
I believe
Rufio
he's Jai.
was
He's the other guy, right? It's like...
Jai is the
other-
one from the Imperial Academy episodes in the first season.
That's Dante Bosco. Yes.
Huh.
So I know Zuko a mile away. Okay. So yeah, I was like, that could have been him. Why it didn't need to be Mart.
I was still waiting for the Austin Powers reference and them getting a mini Mart to go along with Mart.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So I guess that's how they justified the Iron Squadron situation by putting Mart there, but it really didn't have to be him. Like, I was just like...
They really pushed Mart hardcore on the end there.
It drove me nuts.
And Jai disappeared. I don't know if Jai died.
Jai's just gone. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
I wonder if he died because he was in trouble at one point and then we never see him again. So I'm wondering if he actually died.
It did, like, it really stuck out to me how much they sidelined some characters for chunks of the season. Like, I understand that Rex and Callus aren't there on Lothal, but the last time we see them, I think until the final battle, is when they're given control of the ghost. And Hera says, like, you know, take good care of her, and she leaves, and they have their cute little moment where Callus is like, I spent so much time chasing this, it gave me so much trouble, and I'm in command, and Rex is like, I think I'm in command, honey. She was talking to me, and I kind of wanted more of that, and we don't see them again for, like, a good long while.
Oh, yeah, I, like, forgot about Callus for a minute. I was like, oh, yeah, he's here. Yeah. I don't know what happened to Jai. That upsets me, actually. But, anyway. Yeah, they really, they moved. That season booked it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no wasted episodes in this season. I feel. I think the closest one was probably the crawler, where they took the crawler, and even then, it had its point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had implications for the fate of the planet. Yeah. And the only one I think that doesn't, and it definitely tees up where Disney Star Wars was at that time, was the Saw Gerrera episodes. Because this would be... Oh, no, this would be after Rogue One. But this would contextualize Rogue One.
It was, yes. I think all of them were after Rogue One. Even though when we first got Saw in the last season, I think that was after Rogue One as well, to tie into Rogue One. And so that was... I think...
No, this would be right before that. When does he have his weird little... He's got to take those... I thought we'd see by the end of here
We've never seen it, actually, in canon.
Crucial
as far as I'm aware,
injury.
We never see where he gets injured.
Interesting. Yeah, I was very... they really drive home where Saw Gerrera kind of goes off the
Yeah, the deep end.
You know. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Here. It's interesting.
He's super unhinged, but one of the last things he says is, I hope we cross paths again to Ezra.
Yeah.
Like, I like you. I hope we meet again. Like,
goodbye.
You almost got me murdered.
Yeah, how about we don't cross paths again? How about that? Yeah, that would be awesome.
Hell away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jedi Knight, Doom, Wolves, and a Door and A World Between Worlds is like, that's solid as hell.
Yeah.
Those episodes are, holy God, they're good.
And having remembered that there's the gamble that Palpatine takes that he's going to try and get Ezra off the playing field by tempting him with his parents.
Whoa.
I thought
don't
that was a much
think
longer time coming.
He wasn't trying to get him off the playing field. He was trying to get the World Between Worlds door open again. That's when he's in that.
Oh, that makes more... Yeah.
Because he needs Ezra to open the door, and he needed Ezra in the World Between Worlds. This was just another attempt at it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, that would have given him reason to show up in Rise of Skywalker. I know he showed up anyway, but that would have been a better reason for him to show up in Rise of Skywalker.
I guess.
But the
As if he had power over the World Between Worlds.
So the Emperor was Ian McDermott too.
Yes.
Yeah, which
Love
I thought
that.
I checked. I was like, is that Ian McDermott?
Oh yeah, unmistakably
It was.
it's him. Like they again, Disney backs the dump truck of money up to whoever was in the movies and says, "Hey, you want to come back and voice the character in a kids cartoon?" And
Just
they say
like,
yes.
they're like, here, go in a booth for an hour, say these things, have $1 million. And it's like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. No problem.
So I don't know if I have much more to say. Obviously, I could talk forever.
I
but
think we've
that's
done it.
it.
Like we've covered the big parts.
Oh, Gregor's dying situation was upsetting.
Yeah.
but
So
also-
Gregor's
Poor guy.
dying made me laugh because they shoot stormtroopers with one bullet in armor and they die
And then just
immediately. Gregor gets shot in a tank top right in the heart, and he still
holds
holds
on.
on for a little while.
I know it is, but I like what he says at the end, where he says, "It was an honor to fight for something that we chose."
Oh, yeah, that got me.
Yeah.
That was, like, really cool.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I did. We also got a little, I think Rex called Hera Sir.
Yes.
I was like, yay! That's one of my favorite things is the freaking clones calling even women commanders
think
Sir. It's the best.
There's
It makes
an
me
imperial
so happy.
There's an imperial officer soldier when they're in the AT-ATs about to shoot the fuel depot. He addresses Governor Price as Sir.
Yeah.
When she's like, fire on the fuel depot, and he goes, but sir, the fuel lines will be, and she's like, do it.
Yeah. I missed that one, but yeah, it just felt good to see a clone do that again because I loved when they would call Ahsoka Sir. It was my favorite. I don't know why, but there's just something about that that's just like, it's there's layers to it, right? Of just like calling everyone Sir is like it's interesting, but like that the clones don't fully understand gender, and then therefore respect everyone equally. It's just like this is cool. Like I like that. There's layers to that we could get into that I won't, but like that's clearly the intention of that, and I appreciate it a lot. So it makes my heart a little warm.
They also respect rank. Like they are bred to respect
exactly.
rank.
Well,
so if
that's
you are
more
in charge,
important to
you are
them.
Sir. Like regardless.
Experience outweighs everything.
Yes, it's interesting. It's very interesting, and the respect there makes me very happy. So I loved seeing Hera, get that respect because she deserves it. She's incredible. The rebellion would be nothing without Hera.
Did you guys?
Thrawn would agree.
Yeah. Did you guys? Have you heard the theory of where Rex is in Return of the Jedi?
Yes, he's
I haven't.
So, all right, I'm going to send you a picture. There's a
on the
rebel
assault of the base.
who people are saying so it's a character named Nick Sant, or originally it was Nick Sant. They think that they retroactively made him Rex, but also a lot of people are up in arms because you basically whitewashed Rex.
Yeah, they have.
Because Nick Sant is clearly an old white guy. Where,
that's an old white guy.
All the clones are Maori. So
well, just wait till they use that. What was that Army of the Dead technology, and just replace him with Tamora Morrison in a white beard wig, and they'll just cut him out and put him in his place.
Yeah.
They'll do that.
Sad for him, but
Well, so there's also I saw somewhere online in the last couple of months, or someone was talking about that, and how we get like Rex in live action. Oh, he can be alive because he's at the Battle of Endor and this and that. There's like a kid's book that takes place around the Battle of Endor, and it's like a picture book, but does seem to imply that Nick Sant and Rex are both there and look very similar, but they are distinct people. Okay. It's a somewhat more recent book, but it seemed like some Star Wars authors attempt to use whatever ability they had to set the record straight, but it's in a kid's book. Interesting.
I mean, yeah, that image made me happy inside, but you're absolutely right. Like, you can't whitewash Rex. Don't do that. Don't be doing that.
That's because Dave Filoni has, from what I've heard, said both things. Like,
yes,
no, it's clearly not him because we don't want to do that, and yes, it's him. Like, that's why we're making Rex like driving like with the facial hair and everything towards this character. And so like I 100% I don't like want to put words in his mouth because I'm not 100% certain, but I know he has denied it, but I feel like he's flipped on that.
Interesting.
I think he's on the playful Dave Filoni thing of like, well, maybe.
I mean, it's Chopper. The man's Chopper. So I did have more moments in this season where I fully understood exactly what Chopper was saying.
Yes, 100%.
And it made me so happy. Like, there's a part where he just goes, Hera, and like throws something at her. And I'm like, Like, I just got like really like there are full sentences where I'm like, I understood exactly.
Yeah, he says that Ezra and Zeb look ridiculous with their hats.
Yeah, you look
when they're
ridiculous.
Infiltrating Lothal, and you hear him say, "You look ridiculous," and then Ezra says, "What do you mean ridiculous?"
Yeah. There's a few moments where I was like, oh, he clearly just fully said this sentence,
and they garbled it a little bit. In post. Yeah,
it's so good. I love Chopper, so I fully understand the Chopper love. I so badly want to go to Droid Depot. I want a battle droid. I know that they had battle droids there for a minute. I don't know if they still do. I don't know how supply chain things are going. I want a battle droid so bad, but I also know that they have Chopper. And I'm like, when I'm there for my birthday, if they don't have a battle droid, but they have Chopper, I'm getting Chopper. Like, I'm getting a little baby Chopper.
I think, is Chopper the new models that they're allowing you to build? Because
he's not there. You don't build him. He's like in a box. You can buy Chopper.
But I think they are allowing you to build because you can make a BB and an R2. I think they're allowing. I think they just added new models.
I do know for a fact that Galaxy's Edge right now. I don't know if it's changed in the last week, but as of last week, Galaxy's Edge in Florida, so Galaxy's Edge East, does not have a single R2 part available. You can only build a BB unit right now, which is horrendous. But yeah, you cannot build an R2 unit.
Yes, new C series droids debut at Droid Depot.
That's great. Yeah, but no, you can actually just buy Chopper like as is, like with his little hands and stuff. And I want him. I don't want to build a droid. I want to buy a droid because I built a lightsaber. I'm good. I just want a battle droid and/or Chopper. That's all I want because he's so cute. And like, yeah, it's. I think you can play the same games with Chopper that you can with like a droid that you build. Like, I think you could do all the same stuff. I don't know how the battle droids work. But I saw them in a box, and I was like, I need them. I need a battle droid. I need a little boy that just walks around and says, Roger, Roger, like, around my apartment.
What's Wedge, not Wedge, the dude from Force Awakens, Snap. Snap, he's got a pet battle droid, right? In the extra books, Snap Wexley, he has a little red battle
Mr.
droid.
Bones.
His name is Mr. Bones, thank you.
Why don't I know that? What? That's fantastic.
It's in one of the novels.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Aftermath. Oh, that's great. I love that for Snap Wexley. I love him.
One last thing, since we're talking about Chopper, I did love when they put on the other antenna from the other droid. It looked like Chopper was wearing a little hat.
It did. It was very cute. Yeah. I loved so much. I started crying. I'm so sorry to end on this note. When Hera walks away after Kanan dies and she's crying and Chopper just like holds her hand. I lost my mind. I was like, oh, Chopper, you little baby. Like, I loved it. I loved every moment of that. And how Chopper was so good at like being there for her. 'Cause he's objectively an asshole. Like, the droid's a little asshole.
But she
in that
saved
moment,
him. She,
yes.
like,
And in that moment, he is like, I am here for Mom. I got you. Like
even
I'm
like
here for
when
you.
they are on the homestead in the last season, it's like, well, that's the Y-wing that I rescued him from, and he's just kind of standing there staring at the Y-wing, like it.
Yeah, he's just there's so much depth to that little droid, and you're like, what? Like, because I love his chaotic.
I just remembered
energy,
one of
but-
his more chaotic moments from this season is in the Mandalore arc, and they're following the convoy that has Sabine's father on it, and I guess they had knocked off one of the stormtroopers from his speeder, and Chopper's flying behind them, picks up the rifle, and then says what sounds like you dropped something, and knocks out that stormtrooper on the ground by pistol whipping him and then dropping the blaster.
So good. You dropped something. Bam. I love that little droid. He's so cute. I love that it's Dave Filoni, because we all know in this house we love Dave Filoni probably much more than George Lucas. I love that man so much.
Well,
And
I've said
fact
it's
that
the Filoni verse.
I love it. But I also it kind of does put things into perspective to see how he put this full show together, because I haven't seen a show. I mean, yes, Clone Wars, but that was really, I think Lucas was much more involved in Clone Wars.
This is his
But
first
to
outing
see
by
how-
himself.
Yeah, and to see it complete, because I feel like everything else Filoni is working on is like in the process, right?
Right.
So to see this arc complete, I kind of see how he operates.
It's an
right?
uncompromised vision of what he wanted
Right.
to tell in that time
Yeah.
frame.
And it's kind of like everything, like he's setting things up, and he has a full, you could tell he has a full story. He knows every single beat that happens with these characters between the movies and everything. He knows exactly where everyone is all the time. That's in his head. And he's just taking every opportunity, which is why I think all the cameos come in and the Filoni version, whatever. He's taking every single opportunity to fill in the blanks that he can, because I think in his mind, he doesn't know when he's going to get another opportunity to show you where Ahsoka has been, to show you where Cad Bane has been, to show you where this person's been. He doesn't know if he's going to get another opportunity to be like, okay, this is like what I have in my brain, so I'm going to put it on paper now, because I don't know when I'm going to get to. Because, you never know when that well is going to dry up for him. Who knows what's going to happen. So I kind of respect that a little bit more, and the cameos make more sense to me now that I know that it's just like, I get it. Like, I get the mentality of like, I know where this is going, and I want you to know where this is going. So even if it doesn't fully work, if I need to shoehorn it in a little bit, I'm going to show you what the big picture is. And I respect it a little bit more than just like, ooh, I'm playing in my toy box. It doesn't feel quite that egregious to me anymore.
Yeah, there were rumors for a long time there was going to be a animated Rebels series follow-up, like a sequel, another Rebels series that would take what happened after the fall of the Empire and follow these characters. And now it seems we're going to get that in
Disney
glorious
Plus
high definition.
Basically blew
live
up
action.
those plans and literally exploded them into multiple different series and live action.
Exactly.
How cool was that Vanity Fair thing where they got all the characters together and did a photo shoot with Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Cassian, and Din Djarin?
I lost it. I was like, this is real.
When I saw the
volume,
cover...
like they shot it on the volume. I was like, that's so cool.
When I saw the cover, I was like, oh, that's cool. They got pictures of each of them. No, they all showed up at the same place.
Yep.
Favreau was there. Filoni was there. Deborah Chow was there.
Yep.
And Mark Hamill, I think, showed up. I think he was there.
I didn't see that, but
Did I see another?
I don't doubt
maybe,
you.
No, maybe that was the behind the scenes Boba Fett thing that had pictures of Mark Hamill.
I was just like, Pedro Pascal
is
in the same room as Ewan McGregor, and my brain exploded.
Yeah. And Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are together in the same.
Yeah.
I
just would sit there and watch that photo shoot, because I'm sure it was hours, but
I showed Vicky that video, and she was like, "Who's that guy on the right?" I was like, "That's Cassian. Remember him from Rogue One?" She's like, "Kinda." I was like, "He's gonna get what appears to be, based on rumors, a very long series coming up.
Yeah. Sheesh. But yeah, it was really cool. That was such a good shot. I'm going to get that. I'm going to buy that magazine because I don't buy magazines ever, but I need that in my life. So, very excited.
We need to wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
Next week is also going to be a long episode because we have Celebration and 2 episodes of Kenobi. So it's going to be a jam-packed episode. But till then, you can reach us, email Talkin Tauntauns at AIPTcomics.com, Twitter at Talkin Tauntauns, on our Patreon through AIPT Comics. And until then, we will see you next week.